Hello everyone, in this video we're going to learn how to graph a Limaçon curve. Now, the Limaçon curve has the form of R equals A plus or minus B sine theta, or R equals A plus or minus B cosine theta. Alright, so recall the unit circle. The y-axis represents the sine function. The x-axis represents the cosine function. Alright, whenever you see sine, which means the Limaçon curve lies along the y-axis, right? If you see cosine, the Limaçon curve lies along the x-axis, right? Now, you look at the Limaçon curves with respect to sine theta right here. All of these guys falls above the x-axis, which means the Limaçon curve has the form R equals A plus B sine theta, right? The plus sign right here. Now, if you have R equals A minus B sine theta, and then you just flip this guy over the x-axis, right? Which means it falls below the x-axis, right? Now, similarly for the Limaçon curves with respect to cosine theta, alright, if R equals A plus B cosine theta, alright, it's gonna fall on the right side of the y-axis, alright. If R equals A minus B cosine theta, it's gonna fall on the left of the y-axis, right? So you just reflect this one over the y-axis, right? Now we're gonna explore some characteristics of Limaçon curves. The domain of Limaçon curves should be all real numbers. The range should be A minus B and A plus B. The function is continuous symmetry. With respect to sine theta, it's gonna symmetric about the y-axis. Alright. Remember the unit circle. The sine function represents the y-axis, right? The cosine function represents the x-axis. So you just use this unit circle to help you memorize the symmetry of the Limaçon curves. This one should be cosine, guys. With respect to cosine theta, it's symmetric about the x-axis. Alright, the maximum of the radius is A plus B. The function has no asymptotes, right? Now let's take a look at the first example to know how to graph a Limaçon curve. Alright, so how do we graph this one? Or how do we recognize this guy if you see the multiple choice question? Alright, so we have step by step right here. Step number 1, we need to identify sine or cosine to determine if the x-axis or the y-axis has an axis of symmetry, right? So because this is cosine, right? So cosine theta, which means it receives the x-axis as the axis of symmetry, right? So your graph will fall into one of these. Step number 2, we need to identify the ratio A over B to determine the shape of the graphs, right? So A over B. Now keep in mind A equals 1, B equals 2. You just ignore the side right here. Keep that in mind. The side right here just tells us that if the graph falls on the right side or the left side of the y-axis or above or below of the x-axis. So keep that in mind, right? So A over B equals 1/2, which is less than 1. So it's fall into this case right here. So your graph should be something like this, right? Now next one. Because you have the subtraction sign right here, right? So this subtraction sign tells us that the graph falls on the left side of the y-axis, right? So keep that in mind. It's going to be opposite to this guy right here. Now, A plus B equals 1 plus 2 equals 3. It tells us that the graph stretches 3 units on the x-axis, right? So this guy is 0, 1, 2, and 3 right here. Now step number 4. The value of A right here determines how far it stretches on the opposite axis, right? So A in this situation equals 1, right? So it tells us the graph stretches 1 unit on each side of the y-axis, so it could be right here. 1 unit. 1 unit. Now step number 5. A minus B determines the lower point. So A minus B equals 1 minus 2. It's going to be negative 1. Negative 1 should be right here. Now we're going to use the table of values to determine the exact location of other points, right? Now remember that we just use the value of the angles of the first and the second quadrant, and the rest one should be symmetric with this guy over the main axis, right? So the first one, theta equals 0, we substitute over here, so we have r equals 1 minus 2 cosine 0. It's going to be 1 minus 2, right? Because cosine of 0 equals 1, right? So it's going to be negative 1, right? So it's going to be right here. Next one, pi over 6. R equals 1 minus 2 cosine of pi over 6. Pi over 6 equals root 3 over 2, right? So it's going to be 1 minus 2 times root 3 over 2. So it's going to be 1 minus root 3. Pi over 6 right here. It should be right here. Alright. Next one, pi over 3. Substitute over here. Cosine of pi over 3 equals 1/2, right? So 1 minus 2 times 1/2. It should be 1 minus 1 equals 0, right? So it should be right here. Now next one, pi over 2. Substitute over here. So you have r equals 1 minus 2 times cosine pi over 2 equals 0. So the answer is 1, right? So as pi over 2 is going to be 1 right here, the point right here. 2 pi over 3, we have r equals 1 minus 2 cosine of 2 pi over 3. So it's going to be 1 minus 2 times cosine of 2 pi over 3. It's going to be negative 1/2, right? So we simplify this one. It should be 1 plus 1. It's going to be 2, right? So 2 cosine of 2 pi over 3 right here. It's going to be 2 right here. So the second circle, right? 5 pi over 6 is going to be opposite to pi over 6, right? So we have r equals 1 minus 2 cosine of 5 pi over 6. It's going to be 1 minus 2 times negative root 3 over 2, right? So we simplify this one. It's going to be 1 plus root 3, right? So it's going to be about 2.7, right? So 5 pi over 6 right here, 2.7 is going to be around right here. Alright, now pi. Substitute over here, so we have r equals 1 minus 2 cosine of pi. It's going to be 1 minus 2 times cosine pi equals negative 1, right? So we're going to simplify. It's going to be 3, right? So it's actually right here. Now the last step is to find the symmetrical points of these points over the x-axis, right? Now we just connect these points and we get the graph of these Limaçon curves. Alright, so it's going to be something like this. Now we can use the calculator to check our work. Alright, so I'm going to use the TI and SPY calculator first, right? Now I'm going to hit tab. Right here I just put 1 minus 2 cosine theta, right? And I just hit enter It's gonna be right here, right? One is our solution. It's gonna be right here, right? Now we can use the TI-84 plus CE calculator to graph this one. You just hit y equals right here, and you just input the values 1 minus 2 cosine theta, right? And you just hit graph. It's gonna be right here. The reason why the full pictures doesn't show up because we need to adjust the window range, right? So the window right here, for the angle right here, minimum is 0, maximum should be 6.28, which is 2 pi, right? So we need to adjust this one to 2 pi, so we just put 2 times pi, right? Now we hit graph, it show up, right? Now the function r equals 1 minus 2 cosine theta is the one we just grabbed. That is called inner loop shape, right? Now we're gonna move on to the second one. This is called cardioid shape, right? Where a over b equals 1, right? So we have the second one should be r equals 2 plus 2 sine theta. Alright, so we just do exactly the same thing as we did before. Alright, we know that we have the plus sign right here and sine theta, right? So it's gonna fall above the x-axis, right? So it's gonna be something like this, or like this, or like this, right? Now next one, we're gonna check the ratio of A and B. So A divided by B is gonna be 2 divided by 2 is gonna be 1, right? So it falls into this case right here. That's called cardioid, right? Now next one, we need to find the maximum, which means A plus B equals 4, right? So this one tells us that the graph stretches 4 units on the y-axis, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gonna be right here. Alright, now next one, we need to calculate A. So A equals 2, right? So it tells us that the graph stretches 2 units on each side of the x-axis, right? So this is 1, this is 2, it's gonna be right here. And this one is gonna be right here, right? Now we need to eliminate these points right here. Alright, next one, we need to calculate A minus B. It's gonna be 2 minus 2, it's gonna be 0. And this is the lowest point. So the lowest point is right at the origin, right? So it's gonna be right here. Alright, now we just calculate the values of the special angles right here, right? Now substitute 0 for angle theta, it's gonna be sine 0, it's gonna be 0, so this guy should be 2. Point should be right here. Alright, pi over 6, sine pi over 6 equals 1/2, right? So you have 2 plus 2 times 1/2, right? So it could be 3, right? So pi over 6 it could be 3. So this is 1, 2, 3, it's gonna be right here. Now pi over 3. Pi over 3, substitute here, so I have 2 plus 2 times root 3 over 2, right? So it can be 2 plus root 3. So it's about 3.7, right? So 3.7, it should be close to 4, right? So it can be right here. Now you know that the y-axis is the axis of symmetry, right? You just take the symmetric points of these points over the y-axis. So I have the opposite point should be right here. This guy should be right here. Right? Now I just connect these points and I get the answer, right? Alright, so it's gonna be something like this. Now we're gonna check for the domain. Domain should be all real numbers. The range should be from 0 to 4, right? It should be from A minus B to A plus B. Now the function is continuous, right? Symmetric about the y-axis, right? Now the maximum should be 4, right? No asymptotes, right? Now let's use calculator to check our work, right? So I'm gonna do this one with TI-SPY calculator, right? Now you want to hide the two functions right here, you just hit 3 lines right here. Alright, so R2 right here, you just uncheck. Now hit this one again, R1 right here, you just uncheck it, and done. Alright, so now R3, you just hit tab, you put R equals 2 plus 2 sine theta, right? And you hit enter, it's gonna be like this, right? Look. Now if you use the TI-84 plus C calculator, you just hit y equals, you just hit 2 plus 2 sine theta, and you hit graph, it's gonna be like this, right? Alright, so we just finished the inner loop shape, cardioid shape. Now we're gonna move on to the next one, it's gonna be dimpled shape, right? So let's take a look at this example. R equals 3 minus 2 sine theta. Alright, so the first thing you need to do is to determine the x or y axis as an axis of symmetry and what portion the function falls on, right? Now we're gonna check. This one is sine theta, right? Sine theta, which means the y-axis is the axis of symmetry, right? The function lies along the y-axis, right? Now next one, the side right here is negative. It falls below the x-axis, right? Now step number 2, we need to find the ratio of A and B, right? So A divided by B is going to be 3 divided by 2. It's going to be 1.5, which is greater than 1 and less than 2, right? So this is a dimpled shape, right? So it is this guy right here, right? Now, because you have the subtraction side right here, so it's going to be below the x-axis, so it's going to be opposite to this one, right? Now, step number 3, we need to find the maximum. Maximum, which means A plus B, right? It's going to be 3 plus 2. It's going to be 5, right? Now, we need to find the minimum. The minimum is going to be A minus B, which is 3 minus 2. It's going to be 1, right? This is the range, right? Minimum and maximum. Minimum is 1, maximum is 5, right? Now, step number 4, right here. We need to determine the value of A, right? So the value of A determines how far it's stretched on the opposite axis, right? So A in this situation is 3. It tells us that the graph stretches 3 units on each side of the x-axis, right? So we have 3 should be right here and 3 should be on the left side right here, right? 5 should be right here and 1 should be right here, right? We're gonna use the values of the special angle right here, right? So if the angle theta equals 0, we substitute over here, so we have R equals 3 minus 2 sine 0, right? So it's gonna be 3, so it's gonna be right here, the points right here. Now, angle pi over 6, so R equals 3 minus 2 sine of pi over 6, right? Sine of pi over 6 equals 1/2, right? So if you simplify this one, it's going to be 3 minus 1, it's going to be 2, right? So pi over 6, it should be 2, so it's going to be right here, right? Now, next one, pi over 3. R equals 3 minus 2 sine of pi over 3. It should be 3 minus 2 times root 3 over 2. It should be 3 minus root 3, right? Root 3 is approximately 1.7, so 3 minus 1.7, it should be 1.3, something like. So it's going to be right here. Alright, now you just take the opposite points of these points over the y-axis, right? So you have the opposite points should be right here. Now, similarly, you can substitute 7 pi over 6, 5 pi over 4, 4 pi over 3 into this one right here to get the values of the radius, right? So if you connect this point, it's going to be something like this. Alright, now you can use the calculator to check your work. I'm going to use the TIN SPY calculator first, right? So I hit tab, right? Now I need to hide the previous graph, so I hit 3 lines right here. Just uncheck this one, and I'm done, right? Now I hit tab. I put the for function right here, so it should be 3 minus 2 sine theta, right? Then I'm going to hit enter. It's going to be like this, right? Now I'm going to use TI-84 plus CE calculators, right? So I hit y equals, just hit 3 minus 2 sine, right? 3 minus 2 sine theta, right? So just hit graph, it's going to be like this. Now let's move on to the last example. The last example represents the convex shape, right? So it's going to be r equals 2 minus cosine theta, right? Now look at this function. We see that this function is with respect to cosine theta, right? So it's gonna lie along the x-axis, right? Next one, we see the negative side right here. So it falls on the left side of the y-axis, right? So it's gonna be something like this, but it's opposite direction, right? It should be on the left side, right? Now we're gonna follow the step by step right here, right? So step number 1 we just did, right? Step number 2, we need to find the ratio of A and B to determine the shape, right? So A over B equals 2 over 1, right? Which is greater than or equal to 1, right? So this is the convex shape, right? Now step number 3, we need to find the maximum, right? So maximum should be A plus B. So it should be 2 plus 1 equals 3, right? So we know that it lies along the x-axis, right? And it's going to be on the left-hand side of the y-axis, right? So the maximum should be 3 right here. So 1, 2, 3, it's going to be right here, right? Now the minimum, it should be 2 minus 1, it should be 1, right? So it should be 1 right here, alright? Now the value of A right here equals 2. This guy tells us the graph stretches 2 units on each side of the y-axis, right? So 2 right here and 2 should be right here, right? Now the last one, we just find the values of special angles, right? If angle theta equals 0, we substitute into this equation right here. So we have r equals 2 minus cosine of 0. It's going to be 2 minus 1. It's going to be 1, right? So angle theta equals 0 is going to be 1. So it should be right here, right? Now pi over 6. So r equals 2 minus cosine of pi over 6. It should be 2 minus root 3 over 2. Now we know that root 3 is approximately 1.7 divided by 2. It should be around 0.8, right? So 2 minus 0.8 should be 1.2 something, right? So 1.2 something. Pi over 3, it should be 1.2, so it's around right here, right? Now pi over 2, substitute over here, so you have r equal 2 minus cosine of pi over 2. It should be 2 minus 0 equals 2, right? So it's actually the points right here, right? Now you just take the symmetrical point with this point about the x-axis, and we have this guy right here. Now if we connect these points, it should be something like this. Alright, now we can check our work by using the calculator, right? So we're going to use TIN SPY calculator first, right? We hit tab, and then we need to hide this function, right? Alright, now we hit tab, 2 minus cosine theta, right? So 2 minus cosine theta. And we just hit enter. It's going to be right here. Now we can use TI-84 plus CE calculator to do work, right? So y equals right here. It should be 2 minus cosine theta. his graph is going to be like this, right? Alright, now here's 4 examples for you to practice, and it's good time to start. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember that if you failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail.
We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals they take us higher. The night's young and it's just begun as she puts her hand in mine.